Hello and welcome to the Shifty Bitches podcast. I'm your usually very happy host, Carrie. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to tune in. I hope our time together provides you with some entertainment and a bit of inspiration. Let's get a little shifty, shall we?
Today's episode of Shifty Bitches is about a life hack that has elevated my marriage and my relationship with my husband, my favorite person. Please take note that I did not say saved my marriage. My marriage, our relationship, fantastic, beyond great. This episode is not a fix for anything. So if you need a fix for your marriage or your relationship, this is not the place for you. This episode is to highlight something we've added, an element we've added to our lives that has elevated our relationship, our partnership, and helps us keep an eye on our future, because that's what it's all about, right? Moving forward, enjoying your future together. This element has helped us focus. It has helped us get unstuck when we're feeling stuck. And it helps me personally kick my feelings of, feeling overwhelmed about projects that we have going on now or certain ones we're embarking on for or planning on for the future. Today's episode is actually about meetings. Most people hate meetings. I promise this will change your mind. So yeah, you heard me right, meetings. Now shake off your preconceived notions about this concept, because in these meetings, you have actual skin in the game. It's not for a salary. It's not for somebody else's business. It is for you. It's all about you. This business is your life, your goals, your future. So most people giggle or gasp when I tell them that Kevin and I actually have meetings, because people generally hate meetings. But once they see how and why, they totally get it. Many have actually adopted the idea and also have come to love it. So let's dig into how all of this actually came about, why it's successful for us, and how it could be a good thing to add to your relationship. All of this can be traced actually back to the pandemic. My husband and I both have office jobs, and the pandemic thrust us both into working from home together in the same tiny room in our house. So many relationships during this time. You hear all the crazy stories that these relationships failed or faltered or things went down a dark path. But during this time, our relationship actually thrived, which was kind of amazing. We started talking more and more and more about what we wanted for our future, what that looked like, how we were going to get there. And unsurprisingly, to those who know us, virtually every conversation ended up landing on the same topic. We wanted to buy land in North Carolina, even if it's just a little bit, and eventually build a little house or a cabin for vacation or Airbnb or whatever. We just want to spend more time there because our souls genuinely love the area. We ride motorcycles, and one of the best roads in the United States, possibly even in the world, is in the Smoky Mountains. It's called the Tail of the Dragon. We go at least once a year. We trailer our bikes. And from where we are in Pennsylvania, it takes about 10 hours to get there. That's a long time. We'd rather it did not take 10 hours. Maybe 10, 15 minutes would be ideal. So without fail, every year on our drive home from that trip, we spend those 10 long hours dreaming and scheming about how we can get there full time. What in our lives needs to change? Could we have two houses? Should we have two houses? Should we just move? What would we do? Do we need to win the lottery? How to win the lottery? Like all the things. And then we would start talking about what needs to be done at our house in Pennsylvania. What do we need to do to live and survive if we moved to North Carolina? All those things. So our COVID conversations turned out to be an extended version of what we talk about on those road trips. It was awesome. It's very exciting. Now, for you, those of you who don't know, I'm a huge believer in the power of language and positivity. The latter tends to drive my husband a little bit crazy from time to time. Sorry, honey. So, for example, if you're having a tough time trying to change a habit, start changing your language around it first, right? I realized that our language around our dream could be better. Put out into the world what you want to get back in, right? So little positives, reframing things, they all add up. Put negative out into the world, you're going to get negative back, that sort of thing. We were using open ended phrases and words like, if we find the right plot of land, or maybe we can do XYZ. So on the surface, words like if and maybe are fine, they're important, they're good words. But when you're trying to do something big or something new, little changes matter. Reframing that matters. If is not a positive word. That leads to doubt, leads to other variables. So one day, during one of our many glorious chats, I suggested we change how we talk about this dream. We started making a conscious effort to use more positive words like when and will instead of if and maybe. For example, if we find the right plot of land became when we find the right plot of land. See where I'm going? This is our dream. It was time to start acting like it, right? Those positive and more emphatic terms make a difference. They did make a difference. We found and bought our little plot of land shortly thereafter. And then we found an amazing builder. And then we found people to help us navigate financing and answer all of our crazy questions. So many things started falling into place after we made that conscious effort to change our language and reframe our brains. Okay, so now we have the land. Now what? Fantastic question. Kevin and I like to be prepared, and since we weren't sure what the next chapter looked like, we wanted to be prepared for pretty much anything. So the overarching plan wasn't to sell the house here in Pennsylvania, but sometimes the universe has its own plans. So in order to be ready to pivot, we needed to get the house ready. It was time to start finishing the projects at the house. That way, if we're in a position where we want to sell or need to sell, we can. We have a bunch of unfinished projects and some wish list shit that we would like to get done. And getting those things done means that maybe if we sell our house, we'll be able to make more money if we decide to take that path. It's all about putting ourselves in the position of personal power so we can make the moves that we want to if and when we want to make those moves, you know? All right, fast forward, and now it's been a few years. We are still mostly working from home, happily, still dreaming about things. But now we are spending all of our free time talking about this North Carolina project and all the possibilities, plus all of the projects that we want to do up here in Pennsylvania on our current house. And it just ballooned and ballooned and ballooned. And while it was all super exciting, it was absolutely overwhelming, which totally sucked because it was absolutely overshadowing my joy, which was not the point, you know? We love the North Carolina project, but this all just became too much. We were living and breathing these projects, and I found myself just kind of checking out and shutting down. Apparently, coping mechanism noted. And that all just scared me. Our evolving future plan was and is so exciting, but I was over it, which totally sucked. I didn't want to be over it. I wanted to be in the thick of it. I wanted to enjoy it, but how? That was my problem. How? There was just so much going on. Too much. My brain was checking out. But then it came to me. What if all this shit just needed to be organized a bit better? You know? Maybe make everything a bit more digestible or manageable. I'm a graphic designer. I do this shit for a living. I should be able to do it for us, right? How can I apply those organizational principles here to get over this feeling of being overwhelmed and back to being excited and happy? And that's when it hit me. Meetings. We need to sit down and have weekly meetings. My uncle and his wife have been doing it for years. It might just be the ticket to help us prioritize and compartmentalize our projects and lead us back to being happy and excited about all the stuff we have going on rather than feeling overwhelmed constantly by everything. So the next morning, I pitched the idea to Kevin. Understandably, he was a smidge apprehensive. We weren't at work. We were at home. This is our life, not a boardroom, not a conference room. This isn't a Teams meeting, you know? But knowing my heart was in the right place, we talked about it. My overall vision for our meetings: we'd keep emotions off the table, come prepared, talk about big and important things we each want to accomplish, projects we want to start, how we start paying for things, etc., etc., etc. We'd keep emotions off the table, come prepared, ready to talk about big and important things that we each want to accomplish. Basically, we'd organize and shift our vision for our future and start looking at it as a business, our own company. How do we get from A to B? What do we want to accomplish? How do we get there? And when? We've worked for companies and done this shit for them for years. Why not take a beat and do it for ourselves? He loved the idea. We ended up deciding on Wednesdays after dinner, which was perfect. Before our first meeting, we both made lists and spreadsheets because that's who we are, and came prepared to chat about all the things. Emotion was off the table. It was all business. And it was awesome. Our individual lists morphed into what we call a war wall now. His idea, totally love it, because it mattered to both of us to really be able to see our projects in process. Not have to log in to anything, not on a spreadsheet, to walk into a room and see it on a wall, which was basically a giant spreadsheet. We set it up where each column is a room, and under it, all the things we want to accomplish in that room. They range from painting cabinets to putting in new carpeting to painting trim to going through all our crap in the basement and the garage and just getting rid of the things that we don't need, like keep, sell, toss. Done. It took a few weeks to get through our list and to make our war wall, and it's still evolving, but boy, it is a sight to behold. I absolutely love it. I am so proud of it, and I am so proud of us for putting it together. Not everything we talk about in our meetings is actually on this wall, though. Our wall is just for our Pennsylvania house projects. It's our pivot list, our war wall for getting all this stuff done in case we decide to ultimately sell, which we may or may not. If we don't sell, all the things are done. If we do sell, all the things are done, and hopefully we can make some more money out of it. So hopefully it's a win-win situation. Now, not all topics we discuss are on this wall. Some things we talk about are like, how are we going to make extra money? Should I pick up a part-time gig? I did, seasonal work at Target all over the holidays. All that money is going towards these projects. What's the most important thing going on in North Carolina right now? How are we going to pay for this new well? Should we do the septic first? Is winter going to impact putting in a foundation? We also talk about things like non-house goals, like professional goals, and debating whether we should get another dog. So far, the answer is no. We prefer not to be outnumbered by our pets, but sometimes those little faces, God, you just want to get another one. Anyway, so we meet each week, cross off things that we finished, and move the Post-its to our done column. So here we are, a few years later, and we still meet every week. Sit down in front of our war wall discuss the projects, and cross off things that we have finished. And then those Post-its get moved to a done column. Now, I don't want to gloss over this part too quickly because it's very important. The done column is the most important column you have created on a war wall. It's vital to be able to look back and see how much progress you have made. Vital. We all get overwhelmed. It happens. But having that wall in those moments, brilliant, huge, amazing. Some weeks, the ones where we're really exhausted, we just hang out and admire the done wall. It's very satisfying, I promise. During the week, we try and chip away at our chosen task or tasks. Some weeks, it's easier than others, and that's okay. That's life. Last week, I wasn't feeling particularly motivated to paint the trim in the basement. So I opted on sorting some of our bins to keep, sell, toss, donate piles. It felt good to do something, even if it wasn't a big ticket item. It still had value. It still was pushing us towards our future. Now, throughout the week, when we talk about projects outside of our meetings, it magically no longer feels overwhelming. We have ownership over all of these projects. The projects no longer own us. And that perspective shift is invaluable. Invaluable. I wish we would have started this sooner, to be honest. Meetings have changed our marriage. They have elevated how we view and plan for our future. And I sincerely want that for you. So take some time to truly think over this idea. Think about adding meetings into your relationship. Maybe add a war wall too. There are no rules for this except for the ones that you set. You, your partner, your spouse, your lover, you together as a pair set up the parameters for this meeting. What works for you might not work for me, and vice versa. And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to work for anybody else. It just has to work for you. But I do encourage you to sit down and figure out what matters to you both and how you can get there together. And these meetings are a fantastic vehicle for that. We know currently several couples who have given this a try, and they seem really happy with their results. They are actively having meetings, talking about their life and the things that matter to them more. And they've even started their own walls. It's so gratifying. It's so cool. I'm so proud. My beloved sister-in-law and her sweetie have started a column on their war wall just for vacation destinations. I totally love that. You should do that. I should do that. Like, see what I mean? It's up to you. It's your relationship. It's up to you how all of this works. So I suggest be proactive and start having your meetings. At least give it a try. What's the worst that can happen, right? They don't work. Okay, so you're no worse off than you are today, but you've tried something. Best case scenario, they work. You find a flow that works for you. You might discover you are in the financial position to do what you want to be doing sooner than you expect. Or maybe your projects are less daunting than you expected. Or maybe you can dream bigger than you thought you could. Or, maybe now you have the strength, the gumption to go for that raise that you wanted to go for. The possibilities are endless. At the very least, it'll help you prioritize things that matter to you both. And that is a huge win in my book. So that's it. My ultimate marriage hack is meetings with your spouse. Your relationship, your marriage is your company, your business. Invest in it. Take the time to decide what you want to do, where the two of you want to go together. Dig into your future and how you want to get there. Plan for it and talk about it. You deserve it. All right, that's it for today. So as always, thank you for tuning into the Shifty Bitches podcast. I'm sincerely honored you chose to join me, and I look forward to shifting to another topic with you very soon. Ciao.